How do you like it? I'm a novice at this. I make a few mistakes.
Jushin Thunder Liger.
I don't know.
So, Hutch, let us talk about some AEW. So the first obvious question that I have for you is, what did you think of the show?
I mean, I didn't hate it. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Usually I'm a little more loquacious than that. I'm sorry to catch you off guard.
I got some time. I'm going to take a drink of this pop I have.
Okay,
well
so, I often try not to have too much of an opinion on an AEW show right away because there's so much of it. And there's so many spots, and it just goes and goes and goes. And sometimes I tune in after, and some of my favorite commenters in the space, they will have loathed the show. They hate it. They have all their reasons for hating it. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that. And then there's other people that are like, oh, this was freaking awesome. So, I'm very much a bendable tree. I am water. I can change my opinion fairly easily. I'll look back on something a little while later and feel a bit different about it. But as of right now, I feel satiated. It was good. The London crowd gave everything that you would want out of a London crowd and more, to the point that you're like, okay, guys, enough with the singing, and we got all of our little specialty matches. And I almost feel like, is Tony Khan learning? Like, this almost seemed a little bit reserved in a small way. Like, some of the matches didn't go too long. And some of the stuff, like that main event, was obviously nuts. But I don't know, in some ways, it's slowly getting reserved. So I don't know. I think it was good.
It was for sure a change, and I just can't put my finger on what it was. But there was something different about this show that really made me, dare I say, appreciate things a little more than I usually.
It didn't seem to drag at all, it kind of just went. Like, let's start off. I watched the 0 Hour, and I think it was Toa Leone threw Michael Oku and landed right on his head in front of his girlfriend, looked like he almost died, and then threw him back in the ring, threw him on his head again. I was like, oh, poor Oku. But he was the first guy out for the 0 Hour. So of course the London crowd, the O2 crowd, is going nuts for Oku, who is starting to get that weight. I mean, he's always been the skinny guy. Now he's reaching his New Japan junior heavyweight era. His legs are getting a bit bigger, his shoulders getting a bit bigger, he's starting to get bigger. So I'm hoping that Michael Oku might hit the scene soon, because every time he came onto the American Indies or showed up in places here and there, man, the kid looked like a beanpole. But he's starting to fill out, and the crowd loved him, and Ricochet and his Gates of Agony did their thing at the beginning. They are looking pretty cool. I dig these guys. And of course they came out later on and had something to do with it. We don't want to step on your timeline here, Boris. We'll do it match by match, but they come out later, boys and girls.
And they tell some long-term storytelling.
Yes, that's it. Long-term booking, as JD would say.
Yep. All right. So as the match that Hutch was referring to was Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, Michael Oku, and Jet Speed with Amira Blair. A very good, fun match. Another match that we had was Crew, Josh Alexander, and Hicha Sierra versus El Desperado, Paragon, and Yuya Uemura. This is great. This is a really fun match. I had fun with this one. And El Desperado, Paragon, and Yuya Uemura get the W. A very good couple matches here in 0 Hour. The next match that we had in 0 Hour was Megan Bayne and Triangle of Madness versus Willow Nightingale, Queen Aminata, Harley Cameron, and Chris Statlander. And once again, Megan Bayne and the Triangle of Madness get the win here. A very typical match. Again, lots of people get everyone on the show. That seemed to be the MO for not only this show, but all AEW pay-per-views. And then the last match at 0 Hour was the Ops versus Bullet Club War Dogs for the AEW World Trios Championship. Any thoughts on this match?
That was the one match out of the 0 Hour that I actually got a little bit distracted during and was doing a few other things. But I love... It's kind of weird. I've seen so much War Dogs, and I love them so much. And I've seen a lot of Robbie X, although only recently now in the War Dogs, haven't seen a lot of him with them, only the last couple of shows where I tuned back in. But man, I love Drilla Maloney. Always been a Maloney fan all the way back to when he joined Mustache Mountain for the Chikara King of Trios. Somebody canceled, and Maloney headed on down, Dan Maloney, and that was the first time I ever saw him. And I've been a huge fan since, and he's jacked now. And I love the War Dogs in general. But yeah, if you really want to talk about the 0 Hour, those other two matches were great. I'm really into the girls. They're starting to get their things together. Sky Blue's starting to finally rub off on me. She's coming into her own. Before it seemed a bit forced. And the other match, man, I love me some Hechicero, and I loved everything that was going on there. Josh Alexander not being used to the fullest at all, but I'm glad he's getting a big paycheck, and the guy does need a bit of a vacation. But I hope that the world of the main event scene doesn't pass him by. But everybody in that match is a superstar, and Yuya Imura, I'll stop right now because we don't want to talk for another 10 minutes because I love that kid. And when it came to that crop of New Japan Young Lions, you know, it was Koji Fujita and him were the guys that I wasn't too sure about, and now they're like the two guys that I'm really, really liking. And I like everybody from this crop, and they're like really stepping up. And he really might be the next Tanahashi. I think he's creating his own destiny, and I can see it. I think he's gonna outshine Shota Umino in the end run.
Agreed. Who would have ever thought that Yuya Uemura's time in TNA and Joe Hendry would have worked out so well?
Oh, yeah, man. I love this kid. And I wasn't even really watching TNA that much. I watched him a lot as a young lion. And when he came back, I was one of those people who was like, oh, I kind of marked out. I was like, he's back, you know? And I didn't really see much of his excursion. But I'm an excursion guy, especially when they hit CMML. Man, they really... TNA, even when TNA does their best with guys, they never quite do as well as CMML. They just go balls to the walls of CMML and learn a lot.
Agreed.
Well, Yuya Uemura might go balls to the walls and be the future New Japan ace, but if you want to be our ace, the best thing you could do is go down below and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go to the main show. We kick things off with a reunion as Adam Copeland and Christian Cage team up once again, first time in 20 plus years, versus Kip Sabian and Killswitch with Mother Wayne in the corner. Hutch, thoughts on this match?
Man, I really dug the match. I'm glad it was Copeland out first. And, Karrion Kross showing up at GCW just this weekend as well. So it's not a work. He's been let go. And in my mind, I started to think, like, can Karrion Kross be like the next Edge for somebody? Like the guy that's, big, tall, can talk well. If you close your eyes and listen to them interview, they kind of have the same cadence and the same sound. And it was even Brian Last who was listening to it, and he's like, is he Canadian? And they were like, no, he's from like wherever where he's from, in Middle America. He's like, wow, he sounds Canadian. Man, they sound the same, and I kind of feel like he could go that same way. He could be the next Edge. But Edge out first here, and the crowd popped like crazy, sang his song for a whole extra verse. And when Christian came out, I love that they added asshole at the end of his entire chyron of patriarchy, father figure, all the stuff that they put down. I loved it. And what a great way to actually start off the pay-per-view proper. And Killswitch, sticking with that name, even though the Luchasaurus rolls off the tongue better and people keep chanting it. But hell of a match to start off. And Kip Sabian finally getting some spotlight. First ever AEW Dynamite match, day one AEW guy. And certainly he's got some style in there, both to his dress, his look, and his wrestling. And I really love seeing him there, especially in front of his people.
Absolutely. It was really good to see him there. And like you said, this was a great, just seeing Killswitch, alive and being able to wrestle is fantastic. And then Copeland and Cage doing their things, 20 plus 30 years into their career. Just absolutely amazing to see. No surprise, Copeland and Christian Cage get the win here. Very cool. I also like the the hesitation that Cage is showing, still teaming up with Copeland.
Oh yeah, I popped hard the other day when he came out and Edge was all happy, and then Christian came out and then he was all like, listen up, you scumbag pieces of crap. And he's like, no, hey, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? And he's like, he can't let it go. And even as far as I'm concerned, we got our 5-second pose. When Copeland came over and copied his facial expression, and they both did the sour face Christian blue dot face pose. That's for me. That was the 5-second pose. I loved it, and I am loving the dynamic here. And of course, they always make something of nothing, and they always make storylines for themselves out of everything, all the small details. And Christian has always been a genius, and I love this part of his career. And this popped me hard.
Yeah, this is great. Great way to start. Nice kind of throwback for elders like us. So that was a very good way to start the pay-per-view. All right, the next match was for the TNT Championship. You had Kyle Fletcher with Don Callis and Lance Archer versus Hiromu Takahashi.
Dude, Kyle Fletcher, a little bit of a buddy of mine, one of the only guys who I have correspondence with. Actually, funny enough, other than Adam Copeland on the AEW roster, there's not many people there that I talk with. But dude, I love Kyle Fletcher, the future of wrestling, possibly the best wrestler out there. I see Randy Orton vibes, legendary status kind of guy. And WWE is going to want to snap him up one day. He's great.
Oh, one day, absolutely. Here's the thing about Kyle Fletcher, he might not be the best in 2025, but he is for sure the person who's made his name in 2025.
Yeah, and they were talking about pound for pound. He wanted pound for pound the best. I think they kept putting that over because Hiromu's so much smaller. But man, pound for pound, one of the best. He's so weird looking, so weird with his style, and the weirdness has certainly gotten over in Japan. And when they were comparing him to Darby Allin, I didn't agree with it at first. Then slowly I started thinking about it, and I was like, the language barrier is probably a big part of it. But when I think of every major crazy ass thing that he's done, and I think about how Darby is obsessed with the business, but also kind of honorable in this weird, low-key, noble, like, dirt warrior way. And I feel like perhaps Hiromu's the same way. I don't get enough translation of his interviews. But the color and the dark and the juxtaposition, like perhaps great rivals or tag team partners or something one day. But pretty cool overall. And Fletcher certainly made him look great. Not that he needs much help. And just at the end where he's all like, this guy, like sitting there like, hey, this freaking guy. Whoa, what a tough dude this little guy was, you know, putting him over as he stood up to like raise his title. Like, love the match, love Fletcher, love Hiromu. So far, I guess going back to the very beginning, I should have just said, yeah, I love this pay-per-view instead of being like, oh, I don't know, because I'm loving it so far, it looks like.
I always find that doing these shows, the review shows, you always kind of get your definitive answer halfway through. It's like, sometimes it's like, oh, you know what, I didn't like it as much. Or in your case, and my case, this was a damn good show. Takahashi does finally give in and take the 3 count after a beautiful brainbuster from Kyle Fletcher. Love the fact that
that whole ending sequence was great. I'm sorry to cut you off. Like the running kick to the back of the head, then turning him around, kissing in front of the head, the rolling and trying to get the small package. But then it almost seemed like Kyle Fletcher really did a great job of looking like he was muscling him up. Having lifted up Micro Man and other midgets, and we have 2 midgets coming out to the next Man Lucha show, and then I was like, wait, little people, midget wrestlers, and then another one coming out the month after. Suddenly we're inundated with midgets out of nowhere, but like they're like dense little guys, and I got that feeling where he's lifting Hiromu, like he was like, come on,
yeah.
And bam, like I really loved the ending sequence with that one.
It was really good. Really well done. And my biggest thing about wrestling has always been when people are waiting around, waiting for the next move, waiting for the next sequence. And these two, Fletcher and Takahashi, it was just so smooth. I was so happy to see that. That's typically my biggest issue with AEW especially, but these guys made everything look smooth. It was a great match overall.
Yeah, I feel like it started here.
Yes.
When I was saying that Tony Khan was a little more reserved. This was the first match where I was like, oh, hey, yeah, good ending. Like, there's so many times where you think this could be it, and they do one more falsie, and then they like go into it. Like, that was a great ending. And they did it again later on in the night. I think it was the Swerve match, maybe a few times. I was all like, nice, done, good stuff.
When the finisher actually finishes the match, and you don't have to give them everything and the bag of chips to make people happy, right? Like, sometimes you just give them what they want, and people will be happy. And I think that's what Tony Khan or someone around him in his inner circle is teaching him or has learned. I don't know. It's weird. But I found that this pay-per-view was very well built in that sense.
Yes.
All right. Next match. For the TBS Championship, you have Mercedes Moné versus...
You see that now? Last time you said Persephone, and I wasn't paying attention. It's Persephone.
Persephone, yeah.
What you say? I guess you keep reading it phonetically, and you're like,
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yes. Well, as much as I don't really think before I speak, a lot of these opinions like just come out. In fact, sometimes I think I want to do a review of my review. I listen to it 2 days later, and I'm like, I should review this and be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, But I often sometimes will zone out just for a few moments. And that moment when we were talking last time, where you didn't mention Bozilla and you call her Persephone, I was not paying attention, and then I started talking. So yes, Bozilla, pretty awesome. I only saw one match or like highlight with her in the past, and she seemed pretty cool, and it gives me that like Rhonda Singh vibe, where she like came in young and she came in hard and she's kicking ass and she's probably gonna do really well.
Agreed 100%. I was a little concerned with the different styles that we could have gotten in this match, but I kind of feel like overall it kind of worked out.
Yeah, and they were all very over, which is great. I mean, the English crowd, not only are they starving for some good live wrestling these days, at least on a large scale, but they just love their wrestling and they always give it to you. So these girls were all over. And geez, let's think about it. Monet, a lot of people diss this whole like title thing where she's got all the belts, and some people are like, you know, it diminishes the bigger titles, but I think it kind of brings up these indies. I think she lost one of them already. She lost the New Japan Strong. She just won the Scottish title. I think the night before this, it was at the Rev Pro show. I have it here. I haven't actually watched it. I don't know if it was at the Rev Pro show, but if not, anyways, she's 9 titles now, and I kind of like this whole thing. You know, keep it up. Why not? Nobody else is really doing it. Some people think it's an egotistical thing, but I think every single one of these titles have been defended by her at least once, if not twice, like at the home promotions or other places. And, you know, for a big star working for an indie twice a year to defend a belt, I mean, that's a pretty tall order, and she's doing it. So this whole thing's rubbing off on me, and I love it. And great match. I didn't expect her to lose, but I really like how she didn't seem to be dominant, and I like that she's getting funny, and she's finally getting over. I almost thought for the first time ever, were those CEO chants real?
Right? I thought so too. I think they were. Obviously they were. Now here's the thing about that, right? Like I kind of feel like Mercedes Moné kind of feels comfortable for the first time in a long time. And I've been saying this for the past few like pay-per-view matches, but every pay-per-view match she's had is getting better and better. And the reason why I say that is because she just looks like she's having fun again. And she looks like she's over whatever, for lack of a better term, fear of re-injuring that ankle. Let me tell you, when you break your ankle, you're afraid to walk. Dude, when I get off of a public bus or something and I take a hop and it's on the bad ankle, like my heart drops, my heart sinks. When you slip or something, like there's a real mental game, and I kind of think that she's finally gotten over that.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I'm glad you brought it up because that was going to be my main point. She had a couple of injuries in a row. She got a lot of backlash. They brought her in early when she wasn't able to work, and people are like, what's going on? It seemed like a weird intro, and it took her a while to acclimate to AEW and to the different type of fan backlash and Twitter backlash. Like, she was suddenly no longer beloved, and it didn't take long. It was like, I would like, and, you know, Twitter's a cesspool anyways, but, you know, you got to deal with it, right? And I agree with everything you're saying. She's great now. I'm back to loving Sasha Banks. I'm back to loving Mercedes Moné. Give me the money. Show me the money.
There we go. All right. I had fun with this one, as I did with the next one. The next match was more of a sentimental thing for me, and that was for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Nigel McGuinness. This is exactly what you thought it would be. This was ground and pound, hold'em. This was watching 80s British pro wrestling at its best.
Yeah, man, like, I can't believe how back Nigel McGuinness is. Like, this was great. If the other match I saw, I think it was the Dan O'Brien match, the other singles match he's had a few tags. This one, he's back. Like, this was great. Like, I kind of wanted him to win. And I loved how the ending was the sunset flip and pushing his head down and then, like, really torquing up, Zach getting up on his backhand and pushing down, getting the angle in. Like, this was a great match. Like, I almost don't want to ruin it by talking about it. Like, these guys did a great job, and I didn't write a single thing down for this match. I just watched it. And it was the match that I thought, like, okay, I can maybe get up and do some stretches here that we're getting into the show, and this will be a little slow going. Nope, didn't happen. They riveted me, and great job by these guys. Because if you asked somebody beforehand, they might have been like, oh, that's going to be boring, or that's going to be weird. But, like, the move where he ran to the corner with the clothesline or back elbow or whatever it was, and walked out, showboating into the center of the ring, and like looked over his shoulder and turned around and like wham, huge freaking clothesline, Steiner line, taking Zach inside out to the point that he landed on top of Nigel. Like, that was a great freaking move. This entire match had me riveted to the end, and I loved it.
Yep. So something I wanted to bring up with the previous Mercedes Moné match and this match, and I'm going to say it now, is that even though you knew the belt wasn't going to change hands, obviously there were moments that you're like, could it happen? And giving you that doubt, even though you know in your heart of hearts what's going to happen, that makes these matches that much better and that much more entertaining. And I was that much more sports entertained by the efforts of the challengers, almost making you believe that they could do it.
Yeah, I thought about that for a bit, but the Mercedes Moné match, I wanted her to win. Like, That's how I knew that she has finally got me back as a fan, because I was like, yeah, man, I want Moné to keep going with this. Hey guys, if you've been listening to the podcast for this long, hopefully you want us to keep going. And the best thing you could do to support Boris and I as we strive for our first 1,000 subscribers is go down below and be a part of that. Please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. Let's boost the algorithm. And thank you so much for your time and your interest in our opinions.
The next match was for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Hurt Syndicate versus FTR versus Brodito. So last week we talked about this match, and at least I was so convinced that FTR was going to win the championships. Well, not only did they not win their eliminators, Brodito made it in, and Brodito are your new AEW Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, I mean, last week when we spoke, I agreed with you with seeing the logical way to go, since obviously Cope and Christian's helping him with his FTR problem, right? And they were going to get their title shot, and everybody was going to get the joyous moment we've all been wanting for 3 years, which was them getting together and getting the title. But if you notice, when I clipped out last week's show, I did an update in there where I said, hey, now that I've seen this and it's a three-way, I choose Brodito, man. Brodito for the win. I even put it in the title because Tony Khan has been gun shy in the past. You know, he didn't pull the trigger with Swerve in Our Glory, and next pay-per-view he gave them the title. He didn't pull the trigger with the Acclaimed, and then next pay-per-view he's like, okay, I gave him the title. This time he was like, no, I'm not making the mistake this time. We're going all the way, and we're just going to give it to them. And this is great. Now FTR and Copeland and Cage don't have to get the belt. I bet they were even like, we don't want the belts. Don't worry about it. Like, we're going to do other things. Give it to other people. And this is going to be great. I was really into it, and exactly what I wanted to happen.
Well said. I did notice that, and good call. I probably would have gone in that direction because, you know, like, thinking back, you're right. FTR and Copeland, Christian, they don't need a championship. There are matches when you don't need titles, and it's even more meaningful, and it could go either way. So good call on that. New AEW World Tag Team Champions, Brodito. What a team. What a random team. I'm so happy for both.
Yeah. Well, Tony Khan lives on Twitter, right? And you know, people would have been like, great, the way to put over the old guys, like for the next couple of like changes, right? It was already the Hurt Syndicate. So some of the hard haters would have been like, WWE guys with your titles, and then FTR, and then Cage and Cope. So this is building new stars, right? Of course, I'd love to read the people that are like, oh yeah, I knew it. So predictable, Brodito. Blah, blah, blah. Somebody's going to shit on this. So we got to find the people who are shitting on it. Yeah. But yeah, everybody's going to be very happy with this, I'd like to think.
Yeah, and you know what? You brought up a great point, right? And that's something that I've criticized the AEW booking on, is not pulling the trigger when you should, right? Like what's that saying about the iron being hot? Blah 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 blah. Right? Like
strike.
Yeah, strike it when the iron's hot, and that's something that AEW typically doesn't do. Look at the Acclaimed, look at the Outrunners. There's so many examples, especially in the tag team division, where they wait and then it's almost, I don't want to say meaningless, but not as impactful, not as fun, not as big when people actually get that W or the titles or whatever it is.
Yeah, man. Like I was saying, I think Tony Khan learned his lesson, and he wanted to hear that pop. He himself, as a fan, was probably disappointed, where he's like, you know, sitting. He's the kind of guy who leaves the show to sit at home. He's like, man, I should have switched the title. I should have made that call. You know what I mean? It would have been great. He thinks about it, man. He's not. Remember when I was talking about the WWE guys? They call Charlotte Flair by her real name.
Yep.
They don't care about that stuff. Tony Khan cares, man.
Absolutely.
He cares a lot. So like, he was like, I'm not gonna let it happen again. I want to see it happen. He probably loves he loves Bandito. Like, you know, he's like a huge Bandito mark for some reason. So he was like, okay, gonna put the title on you. So I keep wondering if Brody King and Bandito somehow like formed like a huge bond. I'm pretty sure Brody King speaks Spanish fluently, and I'm sure they get along like gangbusters. They're probably best friends. Brody King's a huge nerd and such a nice dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know Bandito at all, but I'm sure he's probably a huge nerd and a nice dude, and they're probably best of friends. And Tony Khan's probably like, we should tag you guys up, or they maybe said, can we tag up? And it's gone from there, which is why the non-corporate, like half-ass indie like way that AEW does things, like, man, all the times that we hate on them for being kind of outlaw, sometimes we're gonna miss it in the future when they get freaking like endeavored or whatever. You know what I mean?
I always say that about AEW. Let's enjoy it while we can, because it's just the nature of business to change and evolve, and it might not be your granddaddy's AEW in a few years, right?
Absolutely.
I kind of feel, and this is what I thought at this point because it's in my notes right here, is Tony Khan booking like a fan again?
You mean like, has he not always booked a fan?
I think he tries to book like an enthusiastic fan, but he makes decisions for a second match. Like, he wants to create more matches, like down the line we're gonna get the payoff. But I kind of feel like he's learned that sometimes you just need to, like we said, pull that trigger. Let's do it now. Let's get the result that the fans want today.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe the wording of booking like a fan is wrong. I think before, he didn't realize that you have to be more malleable. You have to be like water, not like rock. You have to be willing to change your own ideas and not always get your way. I've been doing the wrestling game for a little while now, and I've often told people wrestling is disappointment. Like, if only 5% of all the things you ever conceive that you want to do, characters you come up with, storylines you want to do, moves you want to try out, everything, if you get 5% of it, you are ahead of the game. Wrestling is disappointment. So I think Tony Khan has started to realize, I gotta go with the flow, go with the stream, don't swim upstream, don't be a salmon man, just chill on your rubber tube and let the water take you where you need to go. And that's exactly what happened tonight. He was like, I'm doing this. We're putting the title on these two guys.
Boom. Well said. Next match, AEW Unified Championship. Okada, your champion, versus Swerve Strickland. This match was awesome. It didn't feel like your typical AEW booking with 1,000 possible finishes. This was so well done. I love this match. This may have been my match of the night.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this match the most, and almost like Mercedes Moné, Okada's like starting to grow on me, American Okada.
Yes.
Like, imagine he went for the title after like 2 more challenges from Hangman. It was like, came up and was like, I'm coming for your title or whatever, bitch. It would be like, holy f***, Okada could be as good as they keep trying to tell us that he is still. Like, we always loved him, but like somehow there's been something wrong, with this version of Okada. But then you realize, dude, he's just chilling. He really is that gangster that came to America, has taken the money and like working soft, and when he has to, comes in and puts it all in the ring and becomes champ. And so, that's kind of what they said about him in Japan as well, like when he wasn't in the main event. So, he's just doing it here, and it's more viscerally here in front of us,
Do you remember when Okada lost his title and you got Balloon Okada? Like, he was just not taking anything serious at that point.
Yeah, but that's when we got the whole like pants off freaking Okada gag, which was like the best. I love that. That popped me a lot. Yeah.
Something so minor. Oh, New Japan. I miss you.
Another change that I made when I clipped out last week's show, I was like, I think I started the whole segment by saying, is it crazy to say Swerve, so soon after this? But now learning about the injury and the possible, like maybe even long-term surgery, like this was a great, and I even said they'll probably do an injury angle or whatever. This was great. This is awesome. Amazing match. Great job by Swerve, especially if he was hurting and, decided to go for surgery. Look at Tanahashi. Broken down in ways like you can't believe. It's because this guy was the ace. He couldn't go for surgery. He did a lot of personal rehab on stuff and worked through injuries. And it's possible, but it's tough, man. The mentality and the pain and the toil. And, congratulations on Swerve for going and doing this surgery. I know that might seem like weirdly sanctimonious, but, I like when guys take care of themselves. And everybody here tonight, even in the main events, all throughout, they all seem to be working through injuries. So this was a great show. If you told me that nobody was injured, I would have believed you.
Right? What Hutch is referring to is that Swerve Strickland, apparently since his NXT days back in 2019, has had a very injured knee, and he's finally going to get that repaired. So what did we do? We did an injury angle. So Okada continues attacking Strickland's knee with steel steps, but Prince Nana rushes out with a lead pipe. That is when we get the return of Wardlow. Prince Nana gets clotheslined, and this was probably Don Callis' insurance policy that he had teased earlier. The family comes out, Takesha's music hits, and he and Wardlow give each other this lovingly long stare and nod.
Yeah, like that was weird. I was like, are they going to turn Takeshita face or something like that? Like, and he's like, this is my next insurance policy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did something stupid like that, because all of Don Callis' moves seem to be stupid. He wants to be this Lex Luthor style, like evil bad guy, but he's such a freaking clown. I hope it's on purpose, but like, in reality, I know the guy's a bit of a clown, so it's too bad. I think he might think he's doing a good job.
I love that. All right, the next match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Toni Storm, your champion, versus Athena with Billy Starks in her corner. Again, another match where I was 85 to 95% sure that nothing was going to change hands. Toni Storm does retain in a very fun, entertaining match.
Yeah, like I didn't think Athena was going to win. And throughout this match, I started thinking that she's just like a badass wrestler, bad girl. You know, and I don't want to criticize character. I guess Toni Storm has so much character, like how can you compete? But, you know, she's been this champion for so long. And it's almost like, do you remember in Semi-Pro when Woody Harrelson turns to Andre 3000 and he's like, something, 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 and one day you're going to realize I never even learned how to play basketball.
Yep.
And it's like you're the best guy on the team, and you've been the best guy for the entire 5-6 seasons you've been on the team. But one day you're going to realize I never even learned how to be a wrestling character. I never learned how to how to really go to the next level. Like, she's one of the best, if not the best. If you gave me Roderick Strong and Shelton Benjamin and Athena and like a couple other people, you could build an entire promotion around people like this. Like put in Bandito and Brody King. You give me 15 or a dozen people on a list, you could make an entire promotion out of athletes like this, and she is on that list. But
to be honest, Athena kind of keeps ROH afloat for me. Like, she's the only reason, one of the few reasons I should say, to tune in to ROH.
Yeah, and like the whole forever champion thing is great, but it's also, as much as it's your greatest accolade, it's also the biggest albatross around her neck. Like, I don't know whether to congratulate her or tell her it's time to move on. But hey, it's not my place to do that. Like, she's freaking awesome. She's doing a great job. What a great spot to have at the O2 on this card, taking on Toni Storm, who's like so freaking over and in her hometown, and putting on a great show, kicking Toni Storm's ass for like the whole freaking match, basically. Like, getting to get all her shit in, you know, and giving it up, submitting to the champ, center of the ring. Like, no ego. She knows who she is. I love Athena. Great job all around.
Well said. AEW World Championship, Hangman Adam Page, your champion, versus MJF.
Let me think about this match. So many matches. And like, I watched this whole match through, but MJF.
Honestly, I was so into this match. MJF just continues to prove how good of a wrestler he is. Hangman and Page just continues to me to prove that he is the main character of AEW. This was so well done. It was a classic.
I don't know why, but I like the Mark Briscoe thing, him coming in. Like, if you're going to be like, this is weird, why is he coming out now in a match out of nowhere and security stuff? Like, if you're going to criticize all of it, then you criticize the leg on the rope and the referee being down and then stopping him and seeing it later and how much time there was between. There's a lot to criticize about this if you want to be like, hey, wrestling's fake. But if you want to be like, hey, wrestling's the greatest show on earth, then I loved all of this, and I loved when Briscoe came down, and I hope that Briscoe gets the CMLL title or gets a shot, and I hope he does stuff with MJF. I started to think, like, the Mexican connection with MJF, with CMML, will that get him a shot at the ROH title and Bandito, who's Mexican, so then they can concentrate on the tag titles as Brodito. And now MJF has 2 titles, ROH champ. He'd be a great ROH champ for a little while. And maybe Mark Briscoe can finally get his ROH championship reign. Maybe bring back Jay's old belt design, or at least the strap colors with the new plates or anything like that. Like, I start imagining all this stuff because these two wrestlers are so creative. Page, the main character of AEW, without a doubt, in every single way. Like the Rainbow Cowboy from Virginia. I love this guy. I love both of these guys. Like, they're both the most dramatic freaking dudes. Like, it's almost like if they were your best friend, you would love them so much, but you'd also be rolling your eyes all the time. You'd be like, dude, you take everything so seriously. Like, please, Jill. They're awesome. And like, what a great match. You know, like, do we want to go through all the moves? No. Like, these guys made us care. These guys made us cry. They made us love. And Hangman coming out on top, as he should, and MJF still having his freaking contract in his back pocket.
I love the way that all of that panned out. It kind of keeps you a little intrigued. Is this going to go into All Out? We shall see. All right. Lights out, steel cage match, Golden Lovers, Darby Allin, Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay versus the Death Riders, Young Bucks, and Gabe kid. Last week we were talking about this match, and I was afraid for like 90% of the participants in this match, and you said it best, Hutch. You would never guess that anyone was injured going into this match because everyone gave it their all. I have nothing but absolute respect for everyone in this match, for everything they did, just for wanting to entertain us for about 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, and I guess all being in there together, it's not like you're doing a 30-minute match one-on-one with someone. Like, they were able to split it all up.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. There's some great innovation. I love the top rope hidden blade into Kenny's, the one-winged. Like, that was pretty great. You know, I don't generally talk about moves when I review matches, but, man, the cage looked great. And Darby Allin's, like, somehow his coffin drop onto the guy on the apron, when they all did stuff to the guys on the apron, and then it ended with Darby's one. That one just seemed really rough and on point. He bounced right off and then went to the cage. Like, how does Darby Allin sometimes crash and burn so hard and then he's okay, but the times that he doesn't crash and burn, somehow he's like this weird twisted angel that's like, I don't know, and he like bounces and flies and is like, and spreads his wings and lands just the right way. If he isn't all the way crash and burn, he's flying like a bird. Like, it's amazing what he does, and everything in this match was great. I feel like nobody really did anything too dangerous for these guys. Like, if you already live your life at 11, having a match where everything's at 10, it's almost all like, yay, they took it kind of easy. But I feel like everybody was almost reserved, and having Tanahashi win at the end was great.
You took literally, it's like you stole my notes or something. God damn it.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to talk first next time. Damn it. No, but like, in all reality, well said. I think that, to me, the biggest takeaway was no one attempted suicide in this match. Huge win there. And my biggest takeaway from the match was Tanahashi getting the win. You know, who better? Who better than Tanahashi at this point? What a career. Thank you, Tanahashi. It was such a moment.
Yeah, and I was like, please don't fall. Please don't fall. Please don't fall. And it was like, yes, high fly flow. Okay, it happened, you know? But the cage setup, you know, I didn't realize you said it last time when you mentioned blood and guts, and then suddenly I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's what they're kind of doing. And you said you didn't think they could bring the cage over. Who knows what the reason is that they did this, but this setup was awesome. You know, when you see those like European 5-on-5 MMA bouts from like, you know, Lithuania or whatever, or like Azerbaijan, dude, I kind of gave me that kind of vibe. Like, I really dug it, and I hope to see this setup again.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. This was cool. They did the injury angle to Will Ospreay where the Death Riders took him out. I love how, as his team was trying to come in, they're like poking the cage so that they can't climb in. But it looks like Ospreay will be out for a extended period of time, finally getting that surgery on his neck. Best of luck to Ospreay. Like, honestly, like what a way to go out. And hopefully he can come back even a percentage of what he does today. But I love hearing his latest interviews where he talked about, like, hey, if I have to change my style, I have to change my style. But if I can be Will Ospreay one more time, let's rock and roll.
Yeah, everybody kind of changes their styles when they go through these kind of surgeries, but yeah, it happens. But, you know, let's not bury the lead here. I think it's official that Gabe Kidd is going to take the spot in matches from Wheeler Yuta more often than not now, so that's a great thing. I don't know why everybody seems to have such a hate on for Wheeler. It's just like, he doesn't seem to belong, but he's great in so many ways, but I'm so much happier with Gabe Kidd there.
I'll tell you why. Tony Khan has this weird obsession with Wheeler Yuta. It's almost as if he sees himself as a Wheeler Yuta. So he books him the way he would want to book himself.
Okay. All right,
Think
cool.
about that. We'll touch on that next time we talk. But this is, like, I've heard this exact thing from a few people. It's not, I don't want to take credit for that. I didn't come up with that theory, but I'm going with it.
Okay, cool. Well, I think I almost want to go back and listen to everything I said, because I'll probably want to review myself and disagree with half the things I said. But, you know, in general, to go across the whole thing, Cage and Cope, loved it. Really loved a lot of the stuff that happened on the 0 hour, like worth watching more than any 0 hour I've seen in a while. Monet, I hope to see her get more titles and do more with it. And overall, I think Hangman is probably going to have a shorter reign than not, because the tragic story of the Hangman, he's like the tragic figure. So somehow he's going to get screwed over. And, oh God, and he'll have another reason to like be like, Hangman, and have to like come back from the precipice of like grief and doom. So hopefully it's a short run and somebody f***s him over and we're all right into it. his like redemption story, which will take another like year and a half because he has to go away and burn stuff and cry and like have a baby and like that's what he always does, right? All this weird shit.
Well said. I love it. Overall, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. Real quick.
Dude, thumbs up all the way on this show. I got to admit.
Same here. Thumbs up all the way. That was Forbidden Door 2025, London, England. What a show. Coming back stateside next year.